Happy Tuesday. Happy Halloween.
Happy Tuesday. Yay! Candy.
I
Not,
put all my
we don't
candy
even
in a
eat
bowl.
candy in this house.
Well, I put my candy in a bowl yesterday and trying to keep Katie out of it. Like, it's not for you. It's for the cute little kids that come.
So we bought candy specifically for trick-or-treaters. And I was like, I'm gonna shove it in the back of the fridge because we don't need to open this until Tuesday.
Yeah.
Husband's like, yeah, that makes sense. 2 hours later, go get me a candy out of the bag. You shoved it too far in.
You're
That's the
like,
plan.
no, it's
That's
not
not for
for
today.
you. You can have some if it's left over. I agree.
You're on a diet. You're not allowed candy.
I'm gonna get the fly swatter out. You're dressing up today? We're dressed up today. It's a good day. Any
It is a
day
good
you
day.
can dress up,
And
take
go out in public.
take full advantage.
Well, I guess you can dress up and go out in public every day, but go out in public without being judged.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes, like, if it's just a random Wednesday and you go out, people are gonna look at you weird. But if that doesn't bother you, own it. Just own it. That's what I like to do. Little bit off topic today. We are taking a break from the cryptids to talk about urban legends. I mean, I
Which in
guess
their own way are turning into cryptids.
they can, some of them.
Oh, I feel like they're pretty similar to like the Nightcrawler and Mothman.
Oh, that was the other part of my story. After Katie had an epic meltdown, we were talking about costumes, and she was like, you guys should have coordinated and you could have just all dressed up like cryptids. And I was like, that would have been adorable. And I was like, yeah, we talked about dressing up like the
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler, the Fresno Nightcrawler. And Katie's like, what? And I was like, dude, it's just a pair of pants. So she was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so I pulled up a picture and she was like, oh my God, it's Among Us in real life. And then she was like, you know what it reminds me of is, you know how you put on a hoodie and you put your arms and legs through the hoodie parts? Do you know what I'm talking about?
That weird challenge people did.
Yeah. And she was like, that's actually genius. And I was like, tell me that this thing actually exists. There's no way. No way.
No?
Nah. Nah.
But it gives us life. It's fine.
I'm here for it. I still think it's just somebody in pants.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I don't think
This,
somebody,
this
like,
is what people do when they get high or drunk as children. Just
yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Just random teenagers dressing up in pants, running by people's cameras. Also, let's talk about cameras and Halloween, because in my neighborhood, we have a neighborhood watch group, and people just post the most petty Karen complaints they possibly can. But they're always the best at Halloween time because kids are stupid. And I feel like as parents, we're doing them a disservice by not talking about the problem that is Ring doorbells. Like, you can't be stealing whole bowls of candy on Halloween anymore.
Or
You just
smashing
can't do
pumpkins.
it. Everyone has security cameras now. Just don't be stupid. And if you're gonna be stupid, go big. If you go toilet paper you can wear a mask, but even so, like, let's be real, right? These kids are like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and they
They're doing it
dress
in their
up,
own neighborhood.
and you know that they're out. They convince their parents that they're going to go out by themselves, and they're old enough, that's fine. But then you're doing stupid shit, and then your mom gets on Facebook, and there's a post with picture and video of your kid robbing somebody, and you're like, bro, mask or not, why you do this to us?
Plus, we live in an area where you're wearing coats. People know who you are.
Yeah, like, if you're gonna toilet paper somebody's house, you better make it fucking count.
Because you're gonna be grounded.
I mean, I probably wouldn't ground for that.
Wow.
I'm
You
just
encourage
being
these things.
honest. I think it creates good life skills. Like teamwork, if you take friends with you, stealth, how to be quiet, arts and crafts, sports.
What I got from this is if someone TPs your house, you're not gonna say anything.
I mean, publicly, I probably will, just so that the neighbors don't think I'm a pushover. But secretly, I'm going to be like, way to go. Unless they do a shit job. And then I'm going to be like, whose kid did this?
You're gonna put it up there and be like, dude, whoever did this, you get a D. You have failed the
This is a
project.
this is a 2 out of 10 redo.
You did not understand the assignment.
Like, can we just teach our kids how to be delinquents in this new day and age? Because they're not out here thriving. Katie's school just got in trouble because there were 7th graders vaping inside the school. When I was your age, I did that shit outside where no adults could catch me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't
just,
think you were 7 either.
no, 7th graders.
Oh, that makes more sense. I was
Yeah.
like, that's a little young.
We start them young here. No, I'm just saying, like, why? Why are you stupid? Or Katie's like, oh, some kids got in trouble because they brought alcohol to class. What? Why? That's something you do on a Friday night because you told your parents you were going to Samantha's house and you actually went to a kegger party. Like, do better, parents. Do better. Teach your kids to be delinquents because they're not doing well. My
I
kid
mean,
is
I
not
wouldn't
a
be
delinquent.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you had taken alcohol to school. You just would have been smarter about it.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, drink half your Mountain Dew, then fill the other half up with rum. You're
Vodka.
good.
But yeah. And you're not packing that shit to class. You leave it in your locker. You don't
Oh, I
bring it
didn't.
with you.
I didn't. They freaking checked my locker daily.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot you were on
That's
that
what
level.
happens when you mouth off to the dare officer.
Well,
You get your locker compensated.
I was talking to somebody about how Katie has good kid privilege. It's kind of like pretty privilege, but not. Yeah, trick or treat. Always tricks. Happy Halloween. Happy Tuesday.
But not tricks to each other, because we're
Yeah.
usually in on them. We work as a team.
To teach delinquency. I was like, Katie has good
This
kid
year's
privilege.
lesson is apparently TPing someone's house.
Yeah, we're going to take all the littles out and teach them how to properly TP the neighbors. We can do the house next door to mine because she's trying to sell it, so nobody lives there. So that can be the practice house, and then we'll go to a real high profile. Just keeping it real. But yeah, like because she does so
We're role
well
models here.
in school and she doesn't like she's always like a model student, she gets away with shit, right? Like she's never been dress coded. How? I don't know. No idea. Because sometimes she'll be like walking out of the house and I'm like, bro, I don't want to come to the school. You need to bring at least 4 rolls per kid. Also, get the cheapest toilet paper you can because that shit's expensive. We don't want to be wasting the good stuff.
As long as it's not raining or snowing, you could get the good stuff. Go to like a poor neighborhood, and then you're being nice because you're giving them toilet paper.
That is super nice.
It's like Christmas in October.
Just
I
toilet
should
paper.
say I just finished reading Nightmare Before Christmas, so I'm kind of not in the right mood for Christmas.
You say the sandpaper kind. I always say John Wayne toilet paper.
I just go get some of those racist books from back in the day and just use some paper.
That's smart. Way to recycle. All right, back to the urban legends now.
You mean, finally?
I started and then I got distracted about how kids are not good enough. They're letting me down.
Urban legends.
What are they? How do they differ from folklore and myth? Basically, an urban legend is like secondhand narrative, and it will always be in some context like, my neighbor's cousin's brother went to Las Vegas, and let me tell you what happened.
I'm
And
a motherfucker gentleman.
ooh, thank you for the gifted sub.
I'm a motherfucker gentleman.
Thank you so much. Definitely similar to old school folklores, legends, myths. Still word of mouth, shared
And
by
they
everyone.
almost seem like a mix between like a myth or folklore and a cryptid, really, because they're like creatures that come
Some,
to life that people think are real.
definitely some of them. And I think with an urban legend, definitely told for like shock value.
And horror. Like, they tend to be more horror themed.
But I think it's important to understand that urban legends typically try to come off as they have a lesson, but kind of like a too good to be true, or that's so outlandish that there's no way that's factual. And I feel like each local culture and community kind of has their own set of urban legends for the most part. So, like an urban legend that you would hear in Ohio, you might not hear in Washington.
Yeah, they do tend to not be too widespread until,
Except,
recently.
yeah, invention of the internet obviously makes sharing things online so much more accessible. And then you had websites like Snopes come out where they're trying to debunk some of these urban legends.
But you also have some of them being spurred on because they're showing up in films, novels, TV shows, video games.
And I think like the cool thing about urban legends is if you think back to like early human, how do you explain why the sun comes up every day? And then you've got these mythologies being created about chariots dragging the sun across the sky and that kind of stuff. And I feel like urban legends are very similar because it's a way for us to kind of make sense of everything and kind of, I don't know, tell stories and manage, I think, like anxiety overthinking thoughts. Like when you are laying in bed and you're like, holy shit, can you imagine if a serial killer was to break through my door right this minute? How would we go about fixing that? Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's a way like
This is
these,
why you can't be left home alone.
it's true. It's true. So like urban legends are definitely a source of entertainment and all of that. But I think it kind of legitimizes your fears. Like you can post these things. He would be like me first in a serial killer situation. I would just be concerned somebody was going to shoot my dog, and I'm not about that.
Just let the animals out.
Yeah,
Just let them run free.
you can
They
take
stand a
me.
chance.
I know he's barky. Just let him outside. Give him a snack.
Yeah, I have to be real honest. I mean, I probably wouldn't be as skilled at it, but if someone even like kicked my dog, I'd probably go some John Wick.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would be my concern if somebody were to break into my house because I know he would hear it and react to it before I did. And then I just have this thing that he's gonna get murdered, and I'm not about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. That's my biggest fear.
But again, like you can post this story online. It can be completely fictional, something you made up. And you can say, again, my neighbor John was at the gas station and this happened. Or my neighbor Samantha was at home and a serial killer broke into her house and tried to murder her dog. And so she did blah, blah, blah. And it's like, then you've got all these other people commenting on your post or like even word of mouth wise when you're just talking to people and they're like, oh my God, I would have done the same thing. Like it just legitimizes your fears and makes you feel better about yourself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So there's a bunch of different urban legends, and I tried my best to diversify. So one of the first urban legends is the vanishing hitchhiker, and they've traced this back to the 1800s. But basically, somebody picks up a hitchhiker on the side of the road, they drive them around, they have conversations with them, and then when they go like pull up to the destination to let the hitchhiker out, there's nobody there.
Because they're ghosts. Ooh.
There's been books written, blah, blah, blah. And this is like one of those urban legends that comes from everywhere.
Yeah, anywhere that, has travel.
Yeah. Which again, like, okay, not the spookiest. But imagine if that did happen to you. If you were an Uber driver, you had somebody climb into your car, you drive them around for 20 minutes, and when you go to let them out, there's no one there. I'm going to say that this is like a drunk person who has no recollection of what occurred. And he's like, oh, well, I wasn't drunk or anything. Definitely a ghost. Pretty sure.
I wasn't drinking and driving.
Yeah.
I wasn't high as a kite.
But maybe I was.
This is why you don't pick up hitchhikers, and they can't vanish on you or kill you. Just saying. Hitchhikers are bad news.
I wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker. ever. One, I don't like to. We're doing some skeleton dance. We like the spooky, scary skeletons.
So you want to talk about the babysitter and the man upstairs?
Yeah, let me tell you the story because I think you'll like this one. I also think if you watch horror movies, you will catch the nod. So a married couple are going out for the evening. This is like, let's say 80s, 90s is when this kind of becomes popular. No cell phones or anything like that. Like we've got landline phones. So this couple's going out for the evening. They call in a teenage babysitter to take care of their 3 kids. When she gets there, they tell her that they aren't going to come back until late, but the kids are already asleep, so you don't need to bother them. Like you just need to be here in case they wake up. So the babysitter starts doing her homework and waits for her boyfriend to call. After a little while, the phone rings, she answers it. There's no one on the other end. It's just silence and like maybe some breathing, and then they just hang up. So a few minutes later, the phone rings again. She answers it, and then there's a man on the other end that's like, "Have you checked the children?" At first, she just assumes it's the father calling to check up, but he got interrupted or like bad connection or whatever. So she just hangs up and decides to ignore it and goes back to doing her homework. And then the phone rings again and says, "Have you checked on the children?" And it's like a super creepy voice. And she's like, "Mr. Murphy, is that you?" And the caller just hangs up. So she calls the restaurant where the parents are supposed to be and asks for Mr. Murphy. And she's told that him and his wife have already left the restaurant like 45 minutes ago. So she calls the police to report that like somebody's calling her and hanging up. And the police, like the dispatch is like, "Okay, but has he threatened you?" And she's like, "Well, no." And they're like, "Then there's nothing we can really do about it. I don't know why you're calling us." And they're like, "You could call the phone company and report a prank call." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that, whatever." So then a few minutes go by, she gets another call asking, "Why haven't you checked on the kids?" And she's like, "Who is this?" Dude hangs up again, so she calls 911 back and she's like, "I'm scared. I know he's watching me." And they're like, "Have you seen him?" And she's like, "Well, no." And they're like, "Again, nothing we can really do about this in this situation." So she like loses her shit. So finally the dispatch is like, okay, just give me the number and the street address, and if you can keep the guy on the phone for a little bit, we'll trace the call." Which, not a thing. Not a thing in the 90s or the 80s. And so they're like, "All right, well, if he calls back, we'll do our best to trace the call, but like, you just have to stay calm." And she's like, "Okay, yeah, I can do that." So she hangs up. She decides to turn the lights off so she can see if anyone's outside. And then she gets another call. And it's like, "It's me. Why'd you turn the lights off?" And she's like, "You're freaking me out. I hope you're happy about that. Is that what you wanted?" And he's like, "No, what I want is your blood all over me." So she like slams the phone down and freaks out. Then it rings again. And she's like, "Just leave me alone. I'm over it." And it's the dispatch. And they're like, "We've traced the call. It's coming from another room inside the house," which again, not a thing. And so she goes to the front door, tries to get out of it. It's locked, like the slider lock on the top, like the chain. So she's like trying to get the chain undone. She like finally gets it, but as she's struggling to get this chain off the door, she sees the door upstairs open in like the kids' bedroom, and there's just a man sitting there. And so she gets the door open, goes outside, and there's a cop standing on her doorstep. And then the cops go in, they capture the intruder, they drag him downstairs. He's covered in blood, and all 3 children have been murdered.
I feel like she's a bad babysitter.
Is she?
I mean, I probably would have died because the first time I get a phone call that says check the children, even if I thought it was the dad, I'd be like, "Oh,
Okay.
that maybe I should." Not, oh, it's the dad. He's just being a dick.
I'm not checking those kids. Fuck them kids.
You said they were sleeping. They better still be there.
You said I didn't even have to work tonight. This is bullshit.
And who the fuck does their homework while babysitting?
No
I've
one.
seen enough movies. This doesn't happen.
All I can think of is, Scream? Scream.
What? What do you mean this is Ghostface?
I'm not saying it is.
Lies.
I'm just saying it could
I haven't
be.
heard this story before.
You have not?
No, I'm saying
Oh.
it can't be straight Scream. I've yet to hear this story. It's all new.
Again, though, like, in the 90s, you don't have the
Mhm.
technology to support this. But people are stupid enough that they're going to hear this story. Again, like their grandma's going to be like, oh my God. So my neighbor's granddaughter went and babysat, and you will not believe what happened.
Also, I'm pretty certain even in the 90s, if you told them, dude, the guy knows that I haven't gone upstairs to check on kids, so he is watching me, they'd be like,
Oh my
"Yeah,
God.
okay, we'll send someone over to check on you." Not, "Well,
You
if
would
you
think
haven't
so.
seen him."
But like, if somebody calls and they're like, have you checked on the kids yet? And you just hang up or they just hang up, and then you call the 911 and you're like,
Oh, no, I'm not questioning
uh,
that part, but when she's like, "They're watching me," and the cop's like, "Well, have you seen them?" "No." "Well, then there's nothing I can do." No, no, if you respond with, "They said they know I haven't gone upstairs so they can see me," the cop would have been like, "I'll send someone to check on you."
yeah, well, he ddid.
Eventually. Only because she,
Also,
like,
like,
tried.
presumably this killer can hear her talking on the phone because I'm sure she's not like sitting in the closet whispering. It just doesn't seem like that kind of story.
No?
So you don't think this dude kills 3 children and he's just gonna chill at the top of the stairs?
And wait for you.
Right? Like,
You
no.
come to me. I don't go to
Why
you.
would he call you and wake you up when he could just stab you in the throat while you're taking a nap on the couch waiting for your boyfriend to call? Seems suspicious.
No, it's fine.
It's not fine.
It's fine.
Serial killers need to get better.
You start hosting a class on that and we're done.
Toilet papering's
Just saying.
fine, just not serial killering.
Yeah, I draw the line at murdering people. Sorry.
What if we just pretend? Happy
No, I don't
Halloween!
trust you. I
Wow.
don't trust you.
Wow.
I don't see how
After
you can
all we've been
pretend to.
through?
Okay, maybe I should say I don't trust the children. You're like, this is pretend. You don't actually do this to people and then see them not use it.
We just out here teaching them life skills. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, life skills to like join the cult of Slenderman.
I mean, I don't see why you're complaining. Slenderman is an interesting one for me because I feel like this is the pinnacle of how technology changes things for the world, as far as like urban legends is concerned.
And not necessarily for the better.
What's your fortune? Prosperity is in your fortune. You could find some change on the street today.
Good luck.
Or if you go trick or treating, you could get some candy, which is also prosperous in some way.
Unless you get something gross.
Like
In which
candy
case,
corn.
we're sorry.
If you need somebody to call your neighbors and ask why they're not good enough, you let me know. I'm on it.
So Slenderman was actually just photos at first.
It
So
was a
this
whole, well,
dude,
it was a whole story.
No, that came later. So originally, Eric Knudsen found a Reddit forum where they were like, "Hey, post some creepy ass pictures." And so he made pictures that turned out to be Slenderman in 2009, I believe. Um,
What are you saying? Tulpa?
Later, he decides to add more photos and a story. Well,
On the
eventually,
4chan.
no, on this weird Reddit post. Later, someone took his creepy pasta from this forum and posted it to 4chan. Like, that's an unknown anonymous person. And that's where the like creepy pasta spread and became almost like real life now. Like people started to believe it as an actual account and not just a creepy story that was made up.
Oh, you're saying Slenderman in general.
Yeah. Yeah. So like
No, like
when Eric
Tulpa.
post
Tulpa is like this concept that the human mind can create things. So like you can materialize concepts in your brain into real life. Kind of like the Slay the Princess situation, where it's like if you think hard enough, yeah, if you believe in something hard enough, you can bring it to reality. Perfect.
and that's what happened. But the guy Eric didn't actually plan for that to happen. Like he was just telling fun stories.
Yeah. But I feel like Slender Man is kind of. I understand creepypasta's been around for a while, but I feel like Slenderman really brought it to the forefront. And not for good reason, right? Like, this isn't a creepy story that you've heard and somebody's like, oh my gosh, yes, go check this out. Because, like, we do that today, where it's like, oh, I listened to this really spooky YouTube. You should totally check it out. Like, I really don't think creepypasta would be where it's at. I mean, it would be, but it wouldn't be had the bad stuff not happened. So first off, you've got these 3 college students that are making a video for Slenderman, like on YouTube, in the format of like Blair Witch style. And that series of videos has like Twitter feeds and secondary channels. So it's almost like an ARG. And so people are really getting into this. And I feel like as they're getting into this, you've got younger people getting into this. It's kind of one of those things. Like when Katie was watching YouTube when she was like 8 or 9, she would be watching these like scary videos about not getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning because that's the witching hour and you will definitely die. Do you remember this phase of hers?
Yes.
And like trying to explain to her that these things are scripted was not a concept that you can easily explain to an 8 or 9-year-old, right? And I feel like that's what happens in this situation. You've got in 2012, you've got a girl in Wisconsin. She gets stabbed 19 times by 2 of her classmates. And these are like young teenage girls.
Like 11, I believe.
Yeah, I think they were
Yeah.
11, 11,
Well, the
12.
victim was 11.
And then they when they get busted, the police are like, "What the shit?" And they're like, "Oh, we're just serving our Dark Lord and Master Slender Man." Which, if they're watching these YouTube videos, and some of these YouTube videos are convincing, if you can't take them for an entertainment standpoint. Like right now, Katie's way into Sam and Colby, and they research like haunted places, like the Conjuring House and this kind of stuff. But when she's watching these, she's like, "Oh my gosh, so they went to this place and this happened." And I'm like, "Right, but I feel like you have to kind of step back and be like, how much of this is scripted?" Views are obviously going to be the driving force behind any YouTube video. And if making some stuff up is going to jump your views up, you're going to do it. Like, this is for entertainment purposes. This is not factual information. Is there some fact in there? Yes, I'm not discounting that. But, like, do I really think that there's some creepy witch in the woods doing goat sacrifices in Florida? No, probably not. I mean, maybe so. Maybe Florida was a bad example. But you know what I'm
In your
saying?
backyard.
Yeah, like if I go to a campground, I can set up a whole stage of creepiness and film a YouTube video about it. Nobody's going to know any of the wiser. And for younger kids, this is going to be factual information, right? So do I think that they truly believed that they were called by Slenderman? I kind of wonder. However, one of the kids that stabbed the other one claimed to have also like spoken to Ninja Turtles and like characters from the Harry Potter series and stuff like that. Again, children.
Yeah.
And in 2012, I feel like you have this disconnect where parents don't understand the technology that their children are consuming. So it's like, oh, I watched all these YouTube videos, and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. What is this YouTube? The internet has some fucked up stuff on it. I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
No.
And I feel like this Slenderman incident is kind of the precipice where older generations are like, we've got some issues here. And this makes a moral panic where they're like, it starts here, but where are we going? So then it drives it into a frenzy where you have more incidents occurring, and not that they occur regularly, but because it's already being scrutinized and under the microscope, people are taking this to the extreme. It's the same thing where video games cause violence. No, like the violence is still there. There is no correlation there. I feel like the same thing kind of happens here.
Yeah, they just had to read anything.
Yeah,
Like, they would have sacrificed her to Satan.
exactly.
Just happened to be Slenderman this time.
And if you notice, like every generation has these satanic panics going on. Like in the 80s, it was like, don't play D&D because that's definitely Satan's game. Don't read Harry Potter because definitely linked to witchcraft. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think the same thing just is going to continue to occur. It doesn't matter the media that's being ingested. It's just always going to be there.
Dude, I gotta be honest. This just points to the point that America and mental health suck.
I also feel like parenting in general, right? When you are parenting kids in the 80s, it's not that things are worse today, because I don't believe they're worse today. It's just different. You've got massive amounts of media being in your face all the time. You don't turn it off. News travels ridiculously fast.
I think the other hard part is the internet is both truthful and fictional.
100%.
And as adults that didn't like grow up with the internet constantly in our face because, dial up,
Yeah.
we can learn to take what we read on the internet with a grain of salt. Whereas kids are like, no, if
I
it's
mean,
on there, it's true.
I want to say that anytime I look at the internet, I automatically have a sense of suspicion.
That's what I'm saying. Like you and I, we read like the Slenderman story, and we're like, well, that was fun.
Good story, good story.
But like a kid reads it, and all of a sudden they're like,
Ooh, trick or treat pumpkins.
oh my god,
Happy Halloween.
Slenderman? Slenderman's real.
But if you constantly had information in your face all the time, how do you discern what is real and what is not? If you have no guidance. Like, what was it? A week ago, where over in the Middle East, they were like, turn off your kids' access to social media because we are going to post these videos of beheadings. And if you don't want your kids to be subjugated to that, that's on you. And again, because the internet is what it is, kids don't think about stuff like that. And so I feel like there is some responsibility as a parent for you to take that over. Katie really likes Snapchat. That's fine. One of Snapchat's features is GPS location. I don't care that you have a Snapchat. However, I do care that you have GPS turned on. I'm not okay with that. I understand it looks innocent enough so that your friends can see when you're at school versus if you're at the mall. But the chance of that being used for devious activity, I'm not comfortable with it. But that's me as a parent. It is my responsibility to educate myself on what's going on so that we can have a conversation about it and be like, hey, let's not do this thing. Okay? And here's why. So I feel like when Slenderman became a thing, there was this disconnect between parents and kids where kids are like, oh my gosh, this is 100% real. Parents are like, I have no idea what the shit you're even talking about. I zoned out because you were talking about Minecraft for 20 minutes. I think it's unfortunate what happens, but there is some responsibility from the parents. Like in 2012, you've got this young girl stabbed. Then in 2014, another young girl set fire to her house with her mom and siblings inside. Then in 2015, you've got a bunch of attempted suicides, and they're saying that their suicides were because they believed in this suicidal spirit of Slenderman. Then you've got Slenderman coming into mainstream media. And I feel like when that happens, they try to change Slenderman's personality from like evil to benevolent. Like Slenderman, if he shows up, is now protecting you. You know?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I see Slenderman, I run. There's something in the air, I run.
I mean, I feel like most things I see outside, I'm not about.
Too much mist. Not going outside.
You don't have face? No, thank you.
See, if you're antisocial and a homebody, these things don't bother you.
It's true. It's true.
Now we travel to Japan for our next urban legend. And I don't want to say her name, but roughly translated, it's the 8-foot tall woman. So, like most yokai in Japan, It is a woman with long black hair, a white dress, sometimes wearing sandals, sometimes wearing a white hat. The distinguishing feature is that, she's 8 feet tall.
Which again, very similar to the Slenderman.
That is true. Apparently, she likes to say the sound Poe repeatedly. So if you hear Poe, maybe don't walk towards it.
But not in a female voice, in a male voice.
She preys on children between the ages of 9 and 11. And if she takes a liking to you, she will stalk you for days, sometimes months, before she kidnaps and kills you. The only way to get away from her is to leave Japan and never return,
Because if
or
you do
pray
return,
nonstop and visit with some priests.
but if you
If you
do,
return, even as an adult, she will instantly find you.
like once she's set her sights on you, you're screwed.
So, you would think that this was like a really old yokai story from Japan, but no. It actually came from a novel series called The Other Side Picnic in 2008.
So I feel like oral stories in general, and even now written stories on the internet or whatever, sometimes they're there to teach lessons or warnings. Like, usually there's some purpose, right? And with this one, people have said, maybe this story started as a way to remind your kids not to wander away. Like, you have to stay within 10 feet of me at all times, or the 8-foot woman's gonna come and kidnap you.
Oh, 100%. 100%. At least that's
And
what it probably turned into.
and even if you leave, she will find you when you're an adult and take your soul.
My favorite appearance of her, though, is still in Fatal Frame 5. She is a guest ghost, and she is terrifying.
I mean, most of the ghosts in Fatal Frame are not my favorite.
Yeah, now imagine one that towers over you.
Yeah, but technically she wouldn't go after you unless you were between the ages of 9 and 11, so you good.
That's not true. You can trigger a fight with her. It's terrifying.
Just leave her
Maybe
be.
maybe she likes us from when we were
Oh
kids.
god, you're doomed.
It's still an awesome story though.
It is.
Just the idea of like the girl from the well being 8 feet tall and coming after you is a terrifying thought.
I agree. But as a small child, would that make you want to stay closer to your parents?
100%.
Like, I'm not leaving the grocery store aisle unless I can see you, because no thanks.
100%.
It's kind of sad that we have to use mental manipulation for children. Instead of just having conversations with them and explaining how the world is.
That is a conversation. You're just explaining the world in a really messed up way.
That's like when their dog dies and you're like, oh, it just went to the farm. You're not doing any favors. Grow up,
No?
Kyle.
We have abandonment issues and we're fine.
Yeah, but my abandonment issues aren't because I'm scared that I'm going to get taken by an 8-foot tall woman.
Yet.
I might be into that now. It's 2023.
Are you going to start leaving your house more? You're going to
Yeah.
become social again?
No, probably not. I've been spoiled with the don't have to see people, and I kind of like it. I don't hate it. And if you leave, then you're going to have to stop and get gas. And you know what happens at gas? Because my friend stopped at a gas station and you have to pay before you get gas. But once she filled her gas tank and after paying at the pump, she goes to get into her car and the attendant told her she had to come inside because there was an issue with her credit card. So she looks at the screen and it shows that it's been completed. So she's like, "Yeah, I'm not coming in because I don't like that much people." And he was like, "No, no, there's definitely an issue. So I just need you to come inside." So she gets pissed off and goes inside. And he was like, "I was just trying to save your life because while you were pumping gas, somebody slipped into the back seat of your car. But it's okay because I already called the cops. So you can just pretend like you're picking out snacks in here. But it's okay because this is just like new gang initiations to bring back women and or cars. And then one way they do it is by crawling under their car. And the other way is like when they're pumping gas, just open the back seat and crawl in so they can kidnap you. So what you can do to make sure this doesn't happen is pass this on to as many women as you possibly can and just let them know to be extra careful. Like, always lock your doors, even if you're just gone for 1 second. And make sure that you are checking underneath your car before you get back into it. Check the back seat. Just be aware of your surroundings.
It's totally not a chain letter.
You just have to tell as many women as you know.
I just have to say, I can't believe it because
It happened to my
I
friend.
don't know about you, but when I'm putting gas in my car, I'm staring at my car. So I'm pretty certain I'd see someone walk up to my car.
I'm pretty vigilant because I don't. It seems like every time I pump gas, which is my least favorite chore to do, I hate it. I hate pumping gas. I don't know why. I just don't like
Because
it.
it's cold.
It's cold. It's
It's
inconvenient.
always cold AF when you have to pump gas.
Even when it's in the summertime, like I just hate it.
It's
Hate it.
D.
But every time I go to pump gas, I have somebody that tries to approach me. And it's either, "Do you have some money I can have? Or would you like to buy some tamales? They're in my car." I'm like, "No, I don't even want to be here right now. I'm pissed off. Please don't talk to me. Do not solicit me for my money because I don't carry cash. Go away." Also, I feel like I'm kind of with you. I'm not necessarily staring at my car the entire time, but I feel like I'm pretty aware of my surroundings enough that I would notice if somebody jumped in my car.
Well, see, there's a difference between you and I. I stare at my car so I don't make eye contact with people and they don't talk to me. See,
Put
it's
your
a
headphones
ploy.
in. You don't have anything else. Like you're not playing music or anything. You're just using it as a strat so
The
people don't talk to
cable's not
you.
even plugged
Yeah.
in.
I can't hear you. I do that to Katie all the time. I can't hear you right now. Please stop talking.
Also, where we live, if you're on the bottom of someone's car, you're dead.
Like,
Like,
I don't even understand
our
that.
curbs are just drop offs.
Also, like, can
We have
you
so many potholes, like, you're getting scraped along the ground.
imagine just for a second that you go grocery shopping and you're in the parking lot heading to your car and you look over and this lady is literally laying on the ground just to make sure that nobody's under her car? That would give me life. I would be all about it.
Dude, if I saw that, I'd probably just be like, see any spooks while you're there?
Like, I don't even understand. Is this ghost down there?
Did you lose a contact? Can I help you, ma'am? Are you hurt?
You need assistance? Like, it would just be so crazy.
I do admit, though, I do check my car every
I
time
mean,
I
I
get
check
in.
my car, but I'm not.
I mean, mostly it's because my dog's in there, and I'm like, did anyone take my dog?
But I'm also not like getting on the ground to check under my car.
Oh,
I'm
hell
gonna do
no.
a quick glance in the back seat to be like, what's going on back there? And it's not even because I'm worried about people being back there. I like to leave my windows down a little bit or like my sunroof down. And I'm totally terrified that there's going to be a bird or something back there. And then I'm going to be driving and it's going to do something. And I have a hard time with animals. Like if I'm driving and a bird flies in my hair, I'm letting go of the wheel. Jesus's job at this point. I'm not. I can't.
I'd buy pigeon.
So I like to check my car for that kind of stuff. Is there a cat back here? I'm very easily jump scared. If I'm driving and a cat meows in the back seat, I'm probably gonna lose my shit for a second. And that's not
So
safe for
note to
anyone.
self, don't take the cat in the car.
If I know it's there, that's fine. I'm saying if I am completely unassuming and I'm driving and something happens in the back seat that I was not previously aware of, I'm probably gonna lose it. If Katie's in my car, I know weird stuff's about to happen. I don't question it. It's fine.
This one time, we had our cat in the car, and she was like super quiet. We went through a drive-through, and she heard the window go down. So she jumped onto my shoulder, stuck her head out the driver window, and just meowed at the lady giving us food. And that lady shit her pants.
Okay, but now imagine that you did that and you didn't know the cat was in the car? Then
Oh yeah, I'm
what?
pretty certain that's how the cashier felt.
You better
She
hope
didn't know
your
there was a
car is
cat in
in
the
park
car.
because you might spasm and hit the gas. I'm just saying, that shit's dangerous. I'm more concerned about that than some weird serial killer in the backseat of the car waiting to choke me out. That is not my concern at all. At all. But I don't know. I think the chain letter, again, you still see it today. Maybe in a little bit of a different capacity, but I also feel like generational differences, right? You and I look at this and we laugh about it and we were like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But your great aunt is definitely posting this to her Facebook wall.
Oh, yeah.
Or like you hear the ones that are like, be careful as you're walking to your car. If somebody approaches you to try their perfume, don't do it because it's chloroform. And you're like, what? That does not happen. Nobody's doing this. And it always seems like it's like gang related. If you see a car on the street and its lights are out, don't flash your lights because that tells the gang members to come and smash into your car and kill you. Like, what? No. No, that is not happening. Makes no logical sense. I don't know. Would you let somebody take your kidney though?
Me personally? No.
You tried it, nobody took you out. You're just standing in the parking lot, flashing your lights at every car. Your dog
No one has
barking is
stolen.
driving my dog crazy.
You're welcome.
I hear it too.
It's Halloween.
I do.
There's ghosts.
You have to say trick or treat, and then I'll give you a snack.
Like Scooby Doo style?
Yeah,
What if he just says cheeseburger?
I would probably go make him a cheeseburger right now. Sir, calm down. taking a puppy cuddle break.
I took a break to yell at my dog.
I'm working. Shut the fuck up. That's what I tell my dog too. He has
All
his
I said
Halloween
was,
collar on right now with his bow
"Boy,
tie.
I think you got it. We're good. Thanks."
I hope you said it nicely like that too.
I mean, kind of. It just was louder because I had to yell it into the living room. So you're
Stop.
going to talk about kidney heists?
I feel like the kidney heist is kind of everyone knows.
You talk about kidney heist, and all I think of is Charlie.
Yeah. That's the best kidney heist. God
Let's
damn
go
it.
to
They took
Candy
my kidneys.
Mountain.
Again, not happening. People do not do this.
You think?
I'm pretty confident that this is not occurring.
I'm sure it has occurred at least once.
I'm sure it has. But the way that this story is, it's like it happens every night on the corner. Protect your kidneys at all times. Because you might wake up in a hotel room in a bathtub full of ice. No. Also, I feel like the idea of human organs being sold on the black market was more of a concern 20, 30 years ago than it is today. Do I think you could get on the dark web and find you a kidney? Probably. Probably. But I'm sure it was ethically sourced. I'm sure you can sell your own kidneys. They don't need to be kidnapped from your body.
I mean, there are kidneys sold on the black market all the time.
Yeah. Which is fine. I just don't think it's because somebody drugged somebody and they woke up in a bathtub of ice. But the same thing kind of happens with the vanishing hotel room, where it's like typically a mother and a daughter check into this hotel room. The daughter has to go out and about to do errands, and her errands end up keeping her away for like 4 hours. She comes back, and the room does not exist. Like, when they first check in, the room is like super extravagant, decorated, and beautiful. And then when she comes back, the room is completely stripped bare. Her mom's nowhere to be seen. She asks about her mom, and they're like, no, you checked in by yourself. Completely gaslight her, blah, blah, blah. There's also like a spin on that story where the mom ends up getting some crazy like black plague and dies. So the hotel company, so that they don't get in trouble and have to shut down, they just go and clear out the entire room. Again, this is probably not happening. Could it happen? Yes. All things are probable. But it's probably not.
You're just no fun.
I know. I am a huge buzzkill. I'm the voice of the skeptic.
You have been for this whole series.
Somebody has to, okay? I'm just out here doing my due diligence. Basically God's work.
Yeah.
Like
You can talk
these are
about the next one too, because I have never heard of this one.
purely though shock value stories. Again,
Oh, most urban legends are.
where you're just having tea and your grandma's like, "Oh my god, Stacy's brother, his kid's dog." You know, like, shut up. The stuff is not happening and it just creates panic in certain communities. I also feel like this is probably somewhat like rich people talk about this and they're like, these are definitely problems. And
Okay,
poorer people are like, no, these are not
so
problems.
the
This has not
disappearing
happened.
room and the kidney heist, though, are always stories of people going to another country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like it's just racism.
That's what I'm saying.
I went to a third world country, so something bad's gonna happen.
Like, just
No.
classism. Like, shut up. So
But
you don't
in
know?
fairness, it does get us amazing movies like Taken.
Agreed. Or hostel. Hostel messed me up. Do I want to go stay in a hostel? Absolutely not. Do I think that that occurs? I think sometimes. I don't think it happens all the time and into the degree that that movie portrayed it. I could be completely naive about the whole situation. Maybe it does happen regularly. I have my doubts.
So you ready to talk about La Llorona?
Yeah, you're saying you don't know La Llorona.
No.
La Llorona is probably one of the best known Mexican urban legends. And basically, there was this lady, and this whole mythology kind of starts at, I don't want to say like the creation of Mexico, but like when Mexico is starting their life, I guess. So you've got these native Mexicans living their lives and everything's fine. And then you've got Spaniards coming in, colonizing or trying to colonize. So, according to the legend, there was a native woman. She had an affair with a Spanish gentleman. The relationship occurs for a long time. She gives birth to 3 children and she loves her kids. Like, best mom. And but the couple has to hide this from everyone because she's native and he's a gentleman, like upper class. After she forms her family, she wants to make sure that her kids have a full-time father in their life. So she asks this dude to formalize their relationship. And he's like, "Can't do it, babe. I'm upper class, so I have to marry a Spaniard." Like, that's how that works. I have to do that. So after the mistress consistently is like trying to get him to marry her, he goes and marries a lady from Spanish high society. The native woman finds out. She's obviously devastated, wounded by his deceit and his betrayal. And then it kind of gets a little fuzzy. I've always heard it that she couldn't look at her children because they reminded her of him. And she had so much trauma associated with him at this point. She just didn't want to. The other part of the myth goes that she wanted to hurt him, like get back at him so that he could feel how she felt. And then there's also a part that's like she wanted the attention. But essentially, she drowns her kids in the river and then she ends her own life. And now she is tormented from her guilty conscience. And so she just kind of hangs out around rivers and she cries a lot. She's always wandering around. She's sad. She has regret for her drowning her kids. So she just can't rest anymore. Like a wrathful spirit. Always a woman dressed entirely in white. And I think there's something to be said about that because we see this time and time again where you've got women dressed in white with long black hair.
It's creepy.
It is creepy, and I think that's why.
I think it's supposed to be innocent. Because
I could see
in a
that.
lot of cultures, white is purity.
I could see that for sure.
And this would have been around the time of like missionaries,
Mm-hmm.
and you get baptized in white.
Yep.
I mean, not so much in Japan because white's not really a pure color there.
But then
But
there's also La Llorona kind of transforms generationally. So like for kids, they see La Llorona as a threat. Like she's coming to take them away from their families. Mothers see it as like a warning. Like if you see La Llorona, there's obviously some shit going on in your home life that you should probably take care of. Maybe your husband's cheating on you or whatever. But like La Llorona traditionally does not attack. There's some reports that say that she takes kids and drowns them, but that's typically not the traditional core legend. I guess it's kind of one of those things like she's just minding her business crying, and if you go and poke her, she's probably going to slap you.
as we all do.
Yeah. But traditionally, she is not trying to murder you. Versus
I'm
Bloody
thinking it
Mary.
bled in like the woman from the lake or whatever.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm wondering if that's why it's turned into that she can be something bad. Because people are like mixing in other stories.
I think human nature, we like to be scared of something. You know what I'm saying?
What? You mean people like to go to haunted houses?
Yeah, crazy people.
But yes, now to end on like the best legend.
Again, super popular, but I don't think you can discuss urban legends without talking about Bloody Mary. At least, and maybe this is, I don't know. I don't know if preteen boys at their sleepovers do weird shit. But like preteen girls do weird shit at sleepovers. Like if you give 11-year-old girls an Ouija board, they're 100% using it. Every time.
In a cemetery like a dumbass.
Yeah, like so like Bloody Mary is kind of the same deal, right? This is one of those legends where it's like, ooh, we could do this thing and something bad could happen and all the girls are like, we should do it.
I have to be honest, I've only done this with you.
just last week, actually. We just wanted to test it for science. Basically, if you hold a lit candle in a darkened room with a mirror, preferably a bathroom, but that's not necessary. It can be any darkened room. And if you say Bloody Mary 3 times, you'll be greeted with the image of Mary's reflection in the mirror behind you. Again, different retellings offer like different versions. Some say that Bloody Mary jumps out at you. Sometimes she's covered in blood. Sometimes she drags you away, but if you turn around to look at her, then she murders you. Sometimes the taps are pouring blood. There's so many variations of this one. So then with this one, I feel like, well, with all of them, there doesn't have to be, but typically you would assume that there is some reality behind. Again, do I think that the babysitter had somebody that murdered all 3 kids upstairs? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe. Could it happen? Yeah. But was it a situation where there was like a news article of a babysitter and somebody, like some peeping Tom, broke into the house and was like creeping on her? Yeah, that could have happened. And then just by the whole word of mouth telephone game, you start out at A and you end up at W. So with Bloody Mary, a lot of people think that she was real, and they think that she's based on this story of Mary Worth, who was a witch, like in Puritan times.
Or at least she was accused of being one and killed as one.
So a lot of people thought that she was a witch because she lived in the forest. And like this part is factually true. There is a Mary Worth. She did live in the forest in an extremely small cabin. Think like a 1-room kind of deal. And she was known to the local village for selling tinctures and herbal remedies and stuff. Some locals, super wary of her, didn't want to get too close to her because they thought that she would curse them or their animals or their kids, whatever. Those that chose to use her remedies were sometimes shunned by the very religious for partaking in witchcraft. But she's lived in this forest for a while. Like, she didn't just show up one day. She grew up in the village, decided that she was an outlier, so she left and went and moved into the forest. Eventually, these small girls start going missing. The people in the village have looked everywhere for them. They can't find them. So some, like pitchforkers, decide that they're going to go check out Mary's cabin to see if the girls are there. Mary denies any knowledge of the girls' disappearances, but the families are suspicious. And here's where it kind of gets a lot more mystical. This part is less historically factual, but she used to look like an old lady. Now she looks like she's appearing more youthful, so the villagers are even more suspicious. There's one particular, the Millers have a daughter, and the daughter is captivated because she can hear a noise, and she's the only one that can hear it. Her mom is like sitting up in bed, dealing with a toothache, but she happens to be using a tincture that she bought from Mary. So mom is freaking out because her daughter like hears something that no one else can hear, and she's like drawn to it. So she shouts out for her husband to come. So the husband gets out of bed. They're trying to tell their daughter to come back home. She's not listening. So the dad follows her and grabs like a couple townsfolk on the way. The town farmer noticed that there's a light at the edge of the woods. So when they get closer, they notice that Mary Worth is standing in a clearing and she's holding a wand, which again, witchcraft in the 1700s, they're not using wands. But the wand, she's pointing it at the daughter. And there's like a glowing light from it, and the daughter's headed right for that light. But again, it's hard because witches don't have wands. They don't glow with unnatural light. But I think in that time period, a lot of people believed in witchcraft being this crazy thing that it wasn't. So once they figure out that she's coaxing this girl over, they go after her. She breaks the spell. And then they shoot her with silver bullets. Again, I'm sure some of this is fabricated. And then
Almost
they,
definitely, 'cause
yeah,
silver.
you're not making that into bullets typically, but whatever. So they decide that they're going to burn her at the stake. So they tie her to the stake, build a bonfire. They light her up. And as she's dying, she sets a curse upon all the villagers and told them if they ever dared to utter her name in a mirror, she would be back for them. Which at that point, like, why? Right? If you mutter my name twice, I'm not going to bother with it. But 3 times, I'm on it. But the villagers with their missing kids, when they get back home and, well, they go to her house, they do a proper search and they find like rows and rows and rows of unmarked graves. She's been using the blood of the children to make herself more youthful. Which is again very Elizabeth Bathory.
Yeah, a well-known vampire.
Yeah. So basically, if you utter her name, she gets summoned. She's going to take your soul for her own. And she'll leave your soul to burn just like she was left to burn.
That
Ooh,
story
I'm excited
just
to see it. The pigeon rhythm game.
is very similar to Lizzie Borden.
Yeah. I think, again, it's easy to not understand something and blame it on witchcraft or ill intent of other people. And these are traditional stories that are passed down and passed down and passed down. Again, you hear about Bloody Mary from an older sibling or cousin or aunt or whatever at a sleepover, and then you continue to pass that on. Like Bloody Mary was being quote unquote played in the 80s, just like it was probably it will be played tonight. Or like, I think a lot of urban legends are like that. Or I'm crazy. It could go either way.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say nothing.
I'm crazy, just not that kind of crazy.
I don't think a lot of these are gonna go away anytime soon.
No. Especially, I do think there's going to be a shift at some point where these stories become less of warning and more irony. Like, we're just gonna continue to say it for the memes, you know?
I think the problem
Like,
is
if I go to pump gas next week and Katie's like, don't forget to check under your car, I'd be like, shut the fuck up.
I think the problem is like Slenderman. It got released as a story, then or then video games, now a movie, and it took on a life of its own, becoming an actual
Yeah,
urban legend.
yeah, I agree.
And we're gonna see more and more of that, where like horror movies, people aren't going to be able to distinguish between that and reality.
Right. Which is
I mean,
crazy.
that's how we got Chupacabra.
Yeah. Katie and I had a big conversation about Chupacabra last night.
You guys are so normal.
We really are. We talked about all the things last night, and then we talked about a bunch of horror stuffs, like haunted locations. It was interesting. So now Katie wants to podcast about the Conjuring House and the Stanley Hotel and the Clown Motel.
These all sound like places I don't want to go to.
100%. But again, we were talking about how so many things can be staged that it's hard to wade through what's real, like what's a reality and what is not. And especially where it's like pseudoscience stuff where there's really no way to prove or disprove. I mean, you can do some things, right? It's kind of like the whole Phasmo thing where, yeah, like you can get an EMF reading, but like there's no baseline to base that after, right? Like you can't say all ghosts have at least a 3 EMP. That's just not a thing. Could it be? Eventually. But currently, no. So you've got scientific method that's trying to be applied to a science that can't, like, there's no proof one way or the other.
Okay.
It's more of a belief system. If you believe in
Dude,
ghosts and stuff.
everything is.
Oh, God.
I mean, we live in a town where if you don't believe in science, it doesn't exist. So,
Like, I do believe that with urban legends, though, there's some factual things that occur. I just think it's big fish stories. It starts out factual and then that's not quite exciting enough, so let's just add about murder in there. Or let's add in that it's about gang
or it's
initiation.
multiple stories
Yeah,
pulled together.
yeah. Which again, not necessarily a bad thing, but it is entertainment at the end of the day.
I'm tired already.
You can't be. We have a
Well, I
busy,
am.
busy day.
That doesn't mean I'm not tired. It just means I can't take a nap.
No naps. I know. I really want to
do
nap.
have a busy, busy day.
I know. I feel it. I feel it. So we'll cut short today because
But not too short.
not too short, but tomorrow or we're gonna take a lunch break, and then we're
Yep.
gonna go to your channel and play some Alan Wake.
Yep.
And then
For a few hours.
And then we have a Halloween party in real life. Should be a good time.
We hope.
It will be. I'm gonna be there.
We hope.
If
I'll
I'm
think
gonna be
about it.
there, then it's gonna be a good time.
It used to be I will be there, but if you're gonna be there, I have to think about it.
I feel it. I'll leave if you really want me to.
No, I'm good.
I'll take that hit for you. You're working on the enchiladas? Oh, also, is Grandpa coming with you? I just need to know if I should make coffee. Or if anybody wants coffee, I guess, because it's gonna be cold. Yup. Okay. Cool.
No. No coffee for you.
I'm not gonna drink coffee. I'm probably gonna have apple cider, to be fair. It's hard to say, though. Can go any way.
Hot chocolate. because
I
you're
do
not a
have hot
fan of
chocolate
it.
too. No, I'm not.
That's what you have to drink.
I'm not
Sucks
drinking
to
it.
be you.
I'm not. Refuse.
We could make it even better. Add fruit.
Gross. Get out of my house.
I'm not in your house yet.
All right, so we'll head back to your channel in about an hour. Continue on with some Alan Wake. So if you
Yep.
want to join, you're more than welcome to. Don't feel obligated, but
Spooky times.
are you not in my chat?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm anonymous because I didn't sign in time.
Oh. Jackass. So, all right. Well, I've got somebody that is reading some horror stories. So we'll go check that out. And we'll be back on your channel in an hour.
Yay!
Happy Halloween. Hope everybody has a spooky day. Get your candy. Don't let people bully you with the candy corns. Make sure you get the good stuff.
Well, that's spooky.